welcome to another episode of Financial Theory. Let's talk today about how to save money. Now, this is a massive issue for a lot of people, but I've actually never really gone into techniques to actually help you save money. So let's talk about that today. The first step to saving money is you have to practice delayed gratification. Obviously, whenever you buy something, your brain releases dopamine and it makes you feel good. And that's why a lot of people keep spending until they become broke and they're living on paycheck to paycheck. You want to avoid that. All right, so the first thing you can try is called the 10-minute rule. Whenever you have the urge to spend something, wait 10 minutes and don't actually buy anything, just wait 10 minutes. This helps you to remove the temptation, and once the dopamine wears off, you're much less likely to make that purchase. You're less likely to blow all your money right now on something that's going to go down in value. By waiting for 10 minutes and having time to reflect, you're less likely to spend straight away. You can add the item that you want to a wish list, and then you can reorganize the items in your wish list in order of importance. Prioritize these items. The other thing is uninstall social media apps if you use them a lot, because let's say, for example, if you go on a lot of social media apps, they're going to have a lot of advertisements, and if you're a person that's easily swayed by advertisement, then maybe it's best to actually avoid TV, avoid social media, because then you can avoid the ads that come with it, and this takes away the temptation of buying random stuff. Also, another tip is to visualize your future, where you'll be and what your future goals are, how much money you want to save. Instead of spending the money right now, how much that money can grow in the future, and that will actually help incentivize you to keep the money in your pockets right now and invest it instead of spending it. So instead of buying, go for a walk, ring a friend, talk to a friend, take up a hobby, walk your dog, whatever it is. Do something else instead of making that purchase. And also another trick is to surround yourself with the right people. If you hang around people who are constantly buying expensive stuff, you're more likely to do the same. If your friends are actually encouraging you to spend more money and actually be like them, I would actually find new friends. Hang around people that think the same as you, people who like to save money, and pick your friends very carefully. Right, step number 2 to saving money is emotional spending. So some common triggers to emotional spending would be things like boredom, stress, sadness, loneliness, celebration. Some people spend money because they just want to celebrate, say, oh, I've worked hard, I deserve this, So you got to identify what is triggering you to do the emotional spending. And then once you've identified the trigger, that's when you're able to do something about it. So let's say if you're stressed about not being able to pay your bills all the time, what you can do is try to increase your income instead. Then you won't be stressed all the time, and then you won't need to indulge yourself into retail therapy. So that could be one option. If you're overspending because of boredom, find a hobby, hang out with a friend instead, do something else, go to the gym instead. If you're overspending due to sadness, maybe speak to a doctor about taking antidepressants. If you're feeling lonely all the time, get a boyfriend or girlfriend, or buy a puppy or something. And also, I mentioned the 72-hour rule before. So if there's a product that you really want, just put it in your wish list or carts for 72 hours. And if you're able to not press the buy button for 72 hours, the dopamine hit has come and gone, and that's when you're most likely not going to be going ahead with the purchase. Another trick that you can do is to remove digital friction. So uninstall shopping apps, unsubscribe from newsletters in your email, from promotions and things like that. Remove all your card details from shopping apps, so you're less likely to buy something if you have to re-enter all your details again. If you follow a lot of influencers who constantly flex their wealth and stuff, unfollow those people. Follow people who actually tell you to save money and help you understand the value of money instead. Whenever you're able to resist the urge to buy something, put that amount of money into a savings account instead. And then when you actually see the money growing, that's when it will actually give you even more incentive to start saving money. Right, another trick that you can actually use is to think, instead of spending an amount of money, think of it like, how many hours did it actually cost you to actually obtain this object? Let's say you want to buy something that's $200 and you make $50 an hour. It's going to cost you 4 hours of your life for this item that you want. You got to think of yourself, is this item worth 4 hours of my life? When you phrase it that way, it makes you think very differently about what you are trying to purchase, if this purchase is actually worth your time. Because remember that everyone on this planet only has a certain amount of hours to live. Are you willing to lose 4 hours of your life just to buy this one product that you may use just once and you may never use again? Is that worth it? You got to ask yourself these sort of questions. All right, step number 3 to saving money is to avoid status spending. And that's where people spend money just so that they can look rich, to try to impress people they don't even care about. This is very common in social media because everyone's trying to flex. Everyone's trying to say, oh, look at me, look how rich I am. I kind of laugh at that because it's just so silly to me, because like, I wear the most basic crap. I don't look rich. I don't spend money on fancy clothes. I think most people who actually have money realize this. They don't need to be validated by random strangers on TikTok or whatever. They're comfortable being who they are as a person. So strangers can laugh at me by just wearing the same black t-shirt all the time. But I actually do this because it simplifies my life. And by wearing the same black t-shirt in every single video, I don't have to waste energy thinking about what I'm going to wear in each single video. The only thing I change is my hat every single time. But yeah, the clothes are always the same. Nothing ever changes. So you got to avoid spending money to fake status, to fake looking rich. It's a very silly idea and it's going to make you broke very fast. So you got to think of it this way. Before spending money on fancy clothes, watches to try and impress random people, think of it this way. That's $300, $400, $500 that you could be investing into an index fund. You got to think of it. How much money is this costing me in the long term? In 5-10 years time, if you invested this money now, that could end up being thousands of dollars in the next 5-10 years. When you frame it that way, you think very differently about whether or not spending the money now is worth it or not on random stuff. It's all about perspective. It might cost you $100 for a t-shirt. If you got rid of the Nike logo, would you actually buy this product? At the end of the day, that's when you want to ask yourself, is the item worth it? Is it a good product? A lot of times these brands just charge you just for having their stupid logo on it. That's another question you can ask yourself. Would I buy this product if it didn't have the logo on it? Most of the time for me, I just go buy my clothes at Target or Kmart. And here's another trick, is to think of the product that you want. Is the product actually going to make you money? Let's say, for example, you need a camera to actually start your YouTube channel and you don't want to use your phone for whatever reason. That may be worth it if you're trying to build a business with your YouTube channel. Yeah, you got to take these things into consideration. Is the product making you money? Is it for a business? Then if it is, then it may be worth buying. But if it's not making you any money, then I would actually think twice about making that purchase. And another thing that you should know is, if you do actively invest in things like the stock market, and if you see that your stocks are going up and you're making an insane amount of money, be very happy about that. That in itself is a dopamine hit in itself, and it's actually a positive dopamine hit instead of a negative one, like overspending your money on random stuff. So take pride in those wins as well. Or when you've mastered a new skill, that is an amazing dopamine hit in itself. Whenever I've learned a new skill, that makes me feel very, very good about myself. And so just celebrate the little wins where you can as well. That's really important. It helps you to keep going into the right direction. All right, step number 4 to saving money, financial awareness. Now, a lot of people just think, I'm just going to spend $20 here, $20 there, $50 here, $50 there. It's not going to hurt me. It's such a small amount. But at the end of the month, you add all that up, it's going to be like $50 times 10 times 20. It's a lot of money. This is the one thing that people don't realize. Yes, there could be small amounts that you're spending here and there, but then at the end of the month, it all adds up. So another trick that you can do is to set a budget. So you got to set a monthly budget, and you have to know exactly where your money is going and where the leaks are occurring. And then when you know where the leaks are occurring, that's how you can actually stop the money from leaking from your account. Most people are very unaware of their poor spending habits until they start to track their spending habits and to set a budget. So you need to track your monthly spending. Very important. Another trick that you could do is you can automate 30% of your pay. As soon as you get paid, set it to automate 30% of your pay straight into a savings account. So that way that you're only spending 70% of your income on necessary things. By automating putting 30% of your pay straight into your savings account, this takes away a lot of the willpower, makes it a lot easier for you to actually start saving money. Also, another trick that you could do is called real-time tracking. So let's say, for example, you buy a $4 coffee from Starbucks. Every time you do that, write it down in your phone so that your brain is actually aware of this purchase. A lot of people actually, they're so used to swiping and forgetting. So that's why whenever you actually force yourself to record these small purchases, your brain actually registers, okay, I actually bought a coffee today at $4. And it just helps you to keep track of what you're spending your money on. So another trick that you could use is called velocity metrics. So what you want to do is work out your discretionary budget after bills and investments and divide it by 30. So let's say if your daily budget is $50 and you already spent $150 on Tuesday, your total budget for the week is $350. So you know that you can't spend more than another $200 for the rest of the week. So that could be another great way for you to prevent overspending. So step number 5 to saving money is to avoid lifestyle inflation. For me personally, I don't inflate my lifestyle because I'm very grateful for what I have. But I know a lot of people are not like me and they have less self-control. So we can work out some other techniques to actually help you guys. One technique to actually help you prevent lifestyle inflation is you can use something called the 50% rule. So let's say you've got a big increase in your pay, which is terrific. What you can do is maybe you can put 50% of that into savings or investments like stocks or real estate or whatever. And then the other 50% you can put into the present and at least reward yourself for having an increase in your pay. So that way, I guess it keeps a balance. 50% you invest into the future and then 50% you actually get to enjoy your life a little bit. For me personally, pretty much 95% of my income goes into investments. I don't spend money on anything. I barely spend $100 a week on food as it is. So there's like some really great recipes that you can learn. Whereas like if I go out to buy McDonald's or KFC, it's going to cost me $40-50 just for one meal. That's a big difference. Learn to cook yourself. All right, another tip is the 3 biggest thing that's going to drain your money is food, housing, and transportation. So once you get a increase in your pay, avoid buying a new flashy car just to try to show off to people. There's plenty of great deals that you can get out there. As long as the car gets me from A to B, that's all I care about. As long as the car is safe to drive and in reasonable condition, I think that's a good deal. As long as it's not too expensive either. So buy a second-hand car instead of a brand new car. And also when you get a raise in your income, don't go buying a brand new $1 million house. That's just silly. Look at Warren Buffett. The guy's multi-billionaire and he's still living in the same house that he was living in like 50 years ago. Learn from those sort of people. Whenever you get an increase in your salary, don't just buy a new house. You're just going to be digging yourself into more debt. And the other big thing is food. Now, instead of going out every single night, maybe you can say to yourself something like, you'll plan something like, we'll go out to eat once a week only on Fridays, for example, instead of going out every single night because it adds up so quickly these days. Yeah, nearly $100 just to eat out once a night. If the rent is continuing to skyrocket, it might be worth considering moving to a cheaper apartment. And another trick that I really like is called tactical spending. If it's actually just losing me money, then I'm going to reconsider and most likely I'm not going to make that purchase. So if you're using the product to grow your business, for example, then it may be worth actually buying. So for me, that is tactical spending. Consider what you want to spend it on and if it's going to actually make you money or not. Also, another trick is you can redefine success metrics. If I want to inflate my lifestyle by $500 per month, I can phrase it this way instead. If I wanted to inflate my lifestyle by $500 a month, I would actually need an extra $150,000 in invested capital just to fund this new lifestyle. So by phrasing it this way, my perspective changes and I think, is this actually worth it? I need such a large amount of money to actually invest in to generate that sort of money back in return for this lifestyle inflation. Is it worth it? You got to ask yourself these sort of questions. If you want to inflate your lifestyle by $500 a month, but you need such a large amount of invested capital capital, $150,000, just to make that sort of money from investments, then I don't think that's worth it. So if you phrase it that way, that's going to make the offer very unappealing, and you're more unlikely to spend your money, and you're much less likely to inflate your lifestyle. Right, another trick is to avoid entitlement spending. So a lot of people, they justify their purchases by saying, I actually worked really hard, I deserve this. Instead of that mentality, replace it with this: I worked really hard, I deserve to be free. Now, this totally changes your perspective on everything by shifting your mindset to I deserve this, to I deserve to be free. When you have that sort of mentality, you want to be financially free. That's when your actions are gonna change. Your actions are gonna start to align with what you want in life, which is financial freedom. Put it into an index fund or high growth stocks like Nvidia or something like that. And then when you actually start to see your money compound over time, that's an amazing dopamine hit in itself. Step number 6 to saving money: avoid social pressure. Now, if you're hanging around the wrong people who are constantly spending all their money on expensive stuff, eating at expensive restaurants, my opinion is to get a new group of friends. Don't be afraid to drop people out of your life if their values don't align with yours. I don't care if you've known these people since high school, but over time, people do drift off into different directions. If their values and their direction is different to yours, it might be time to actually find a new friend group. Find people who align with your values, people who like to save money, people who don't like to blow all their money at once. Who you hang around has a massive effect on you as a person. Another really important thing to know is that a lot of wealth, or a lot of true wealth, is actually invisible. Most people actually don't see the wealth that people actually accumulate over time. They put it into assets. No one's going to know about your assets. And a lot of people are going to judge you on the way you look and the clothes that you wear. Who cares? Who gives a crap? As long as I got money in my bank account, that's all that matters. And you should be thinking the same way as well. What other people think of you doesn't matter. What matters is that you're being smart with your money, saving your money. You got heaps of money in your bank account. That's what matters in the end, because that's your financial future, and that's most important, your own future. So you got to think of it in a different way, in a different perspective, and then your mindset is going to change. Step number 7 to saving money is to avoid advertising manipulation. A lot of people are affected by advertisements. A lot of people actually fall for this stuff. So for me personally, I try to limit social media. I try to cut down on TV, watching Netflix, and I'm trying to cut down entertainment and media consumption in general. There's so many ads on the radio. I don't even listen to that crap anymore. Whenever I'm driving in my car, I usually listen to podcasts on how to make money, on how to improve my life, on self-development. This is the stuff that interests me. Don't you see that? All the TV, all that video games, all that sort of stuff, it's just distractions. They prevent you from achieving what you want to achieve in life. As soon as you realize that, you will actually start to change your mindset and your actions. Unsubscribe from things like Spotify. Use ad blocking software to minimize your exposure to ads. Things like AdBlock, for example. Unsubscribe from newsletters in your email that are constantly spamming you with ads. The less exposure you have to ads, the less they can manipulate you. Now, the last step to saving money is to become a long-term thinker. You need to recognize that rich people think in decades. They think long-term, 10, 20, 30 years. It's the broke people that think short-term. What am I spending my money on today? Where am I getting the next paycheck? So when you actually understand this concept and you actually start to think long term, that's when your values, your core beliefs are all going to change. And then once you've shifted your mindset, your actions will follow. You're not going to spend all your money on random stuff anymore. You're going to actually start investing your money. So you got to make that change now so that the future you can live a happy and prosperous life. All right, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode on how to save money. I think I've given you quite a lot of cool little tips and tricks to actually help you guys save money. If you enjoyed this video, give this video a thumbs up, like, comment, share, all that sort of stuff. I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.